Prepare to embark on an extraordinary adventure as we delve deep into the heart of Parker's gold mining expedition, where fortune meets hard work in a season like no other. In a riveting twist of fate, Parker Schnabel, the mining prodigy, has unearthed an astonishing $14 million worth of shimmering gold during this remarkable season. In spite of the many difficulties and disappointments he encounters, Parker ultimately achieves a significant deal of accomplishment. He takes a chance by putting his most advanced washing facility on very fertile land, which results in complications brought on by an abundance of water. Despite this, Parker is able to find a solution to the problem and continues his search for gold. Mitch had to leave the crew in order to safeguard his family from the neighboring wildfires, which presents the group with yet another challenge with 5 weeks left in the season. Picture yourself standing on the edge of a vast, rugged terrain, with the sun setting behind the horizon, casting a golden hue over the landscape. The clinking of shovels against rock, the rumbling of heavy machinery, and the anticipation in the air create an atmosphere charged with excitement and anticipation. Parker, armed with unwavering determination and a heart full of dreams, has once again pushed the boundaries of what's possible in the world of gold mining. Step into a world where dreams are as precious as the metal they seek, and where the stakes have never been higher. This is a season that will leave you breathless and in awe of the incredible journey that is Parker's record-breaking $14 million gold rush. Brennan assumes leadership and is immediately put under pressure to locate the treasure. They continue their mining operations despite the tensions and disappointments that they are experiencing. Parker, having realized the significance of adhering to the fundamentals, apologizes to Brennan and reiterates that their primary objective is to earn sufficient funds to purchase new land for the following season. A stunning 7,504.9 ounces of gold with a value of close to $14 million are mined by Parker's workers at the conclusion of the season, shattering their previous record for the amount of gold extracted. Celebration and happiness follow the success of the endeavor. Parker is extremely ecstatic about the recent decline in the price of petrol, as well as the rise in the price of gold. This comes at a time when he is getting ready to buy a piece of land in Alaska. Earning money is essential for him in order to save up for the next purchase he intends to make. He takes a risk by operating his most advanced washing plant on the most mineral-rich ground they have ever mined. But the large amount of water offers a risk that the plant would collapse into the pond if it is not handled properly. He takes a risk by operating his most advanced washing plant on the most mineral-rich ground they have ever mined. He was successful in finding a solution to the problem, and he is now eagerly anticipating the prospect of finding gold under the ground. Despite the fact that there are just 5 weeks left in the season, his staff still has a significant amount of work that they need to complete. They are struck a blow, however, when Mitch discovers that there are wildfires in the region close to his property and makes the decision to remove his family in order to protect them from the danger. Brennan is now in charge and must continue to search for the treasure despite the increased amount of stress. His explosive temper is caused by his frustration with the bad job that was done, as well as the obligation to walk the floors. In spite of the challenges, they are pushing forward with the mining operations, and emphasizes how important it is to ensure that their work is consistent with the basics at all times. Before the onset of winter, Parker is going to require Brendan's assistance in clearing the runway of any mine debris. They plan to earn a profit that is sufficient to enable them to purchase additional acreage in time for the following growing season. In the penultimate segment of the current season, Parker's crew is successful in extracting a total of 7,504.9 troy ounces of gold, which, based on the high prices of gold in the year 2020, has a worth of around $14 million. The group now holds the new record thanks to this accomplishment. To celebrate the accomplishment, cheers and laughing are used throughout the entire process. As the reserves that Parker Schnabel and his crew have begun to deplete, they are faced with the challenge of locating new mining land. They have plans to mine a new part of land that is 60 feet deep, and the quantity of gold that they are looking for is 8,000 troy ounces. Parker is well aware that the absence of Brennan throughout this season would make things more complicated than usual, but despite this, they are determined to make it work nevertheless. However, the first pans of muck that they dig out from Muck Mountain only bring up a few flakes of gold here and there. This is a really disappointing turn of events. In spite of this setback, Parker makes the decision to proceed, putting his faith in the results of the drilling and thinking that the material will yield better results after it is processed through the wash facility. He does this because he is confident that the results will improve. The fact that Parker Schnabel is rapidly exhausting his supplies gives him with the challenge of scouting out new mining terrain, which he must do in order to continue his mining operations. He organizes a meeting of his workers in order to discuss the approach that will be employed for the forthcoming season, which will require mining a new part of ground that is 60 feet deep. In the meeting, they discuss the strategy that will be used. They believe that there could be 8,000 ounces of gold at the bottom, but they are aware that it will be a difficult endeavor that requires a different method than what they have used in the past. Despite this, they continue to maintain their optimistic estimate. Parker is aware that it won't be simple because Brennan won't be around this season, but he and the other members of the squad are determined to make it work, regardless of the challenges that they will face. As they move forward with the process of excavating the new ground, they run across obstacles here and there. Gold Rush is a hugely successful reality show that airs on Discovery Channel and features Parker Schnabel as the show's primary protagonist. The show focuses on the activities and endeavors of gold miners and diggers in the state of Alaska. Because of his consistent display of talent, Parker is an essential member of both the cast and the staff of the show. The show is his primary source of income. However, he also works at the Big Nugget Mine, which was built by his grandfather, John Schnabel. During the 4th season, he put some of his money toward his education in preparation for starting his own mining business in the future. He was just declaring that he had a bright future in the business when he managed to unearth 1,029 ounces of gold in Klondike. This is proof that he has a bright future in the industry. Subscribed yet? Do so now for more thrilling updates on Gold Rush. The first few pans of mud from Mud Mountain turn out to be unproductive for Parker and his crew, as they only produce a few flakes of gold. Parker is concerned about the amount of time and resources that have already been committed in the project up to this point. In spite of the obstacle, he makes the decision to carry on and put his faith in the results of their drilling. They have high hopes that the material, after being processed by the wash facility, would produce more desirable results. As we wrap up this glittering chapter of Parker's journey, we're left with a heart full of awe and inspiration. The tale of mining, perseverance, and dreams fulfilled is one that will resonate for years to come. As the gold dust settles and the sun sets on this remarkable season, remember that the spirit of adventure and determination lives on. Embarking on a journey beneath the rugged terrains and fierce determination of the Gold Rush series, we unveil the glittering treasures that have left us in awe. Join me as we delve into the remarkable world of Tony Beets, Parker Schnabel, and other fearless miners, and witness their most exhilarating gold finds that have defined the very essence of discovery and ambition. From heart-stopping moments deep within the earth to the euphoria of striking it rich, these are the extraordinary tales of gold that have captured both our imagination and the very spirit of the hunt. Tony Beets and Parker Schnabel's and other best gold finds on Gold Rush. They face trials and triumphs on the road to this Olympic gold. Tony spends more money on gear in order to have his most productive season ever, while Parker's staff strives to increase their gold output. Both are determined and confident in their ability to succeed financially despite setbacks like broken machinery and lengthy road construction. The search for gold in the ancient miners' tailings pays off for Tony, while Parker's home is threatened by flames, but they both strike gold and far exceed their season targets. Tony is still committed to producing 9,000 ounces next year, and Parker is excited about the prospect of acquiring additional mining land. Gold miners like Tony Beets and Parker Schnabel, among others, share their greatest gold finds and experiences with the research team on the popular reality show Gold Rush. The Winchester lads are under pressure to impress Tony Beets with the efficiency of their wash facility, and must act quickly to do so. The strut of the plant causes a minor problem, but in the end they are successful in setting it down on the pad. However, they find that a supporting leg necessitates rearranging the sluice boxes, prompting John to construct an addition. Despite the difficulties, they self-repair everything and are now prepared to run pay. Knowing that taking risks is integral to the mining industry, they eagerly await the first scoop of pay dirt. After 25 straight hours of equipment operation, Tony Beats' crew is hopeful that they have delivered gold and broken the curse. When the gold is weighed, they find that they have 6 ounces, which is worth almost $11,000. As a result of this achievement, they are more motivated than ever to keep digging for gold. At the same time, Parker Schnabel departs for Fairbanks, leaving foreman Mitch Blaschke to set up 2 plants in 5 days. Mitch intends to optimize their gold extraction process by dragging the sluice fur onto a big area and installing the super stacker. The crew is frantically preparing the sluice to flow gold before Parker returns from Alaska. A 120-foot super stacker gets hooked up and arrives at the pre-wash. Parker's staff likes the arrangement after processing valuable ore in the wash plants. Parker updates the workforce on his operation before stripping and building a plant pad in Alaska. Parker may mine the entire 90-acre runway with both wash units. A conveyor fails and an engine blows. Even though Parker's other wash plant, Big Red, has been sluicing easy street cut pay all week, yielding over $290,000 in gold. The group is happy to have exceeded last year's ounce total and will keep working hard. Tony Beats and his team are under pressure to break records this season. Their shaker deck shuts down twice, infuriating them. The wash plant is hard to run since they can't discover a 2-foot section of damaged C-channel. Despite the challenges, they innovate by welding the C-channel back into place so the material may be processed. Now that they can process the tailings, they may hope to find fresh gold. Parker Schnabel is optimistic about the season's early start and generating enough gold to cover their bills. Monica and their granddaughter bring cheer as the Beats family evaluates the week's triumphs and setbacks. Gold Rush gurus like Tony Beats and Parker Schnabel discuss their best gold hauls. Tony said the old-timer tailings made almost $310,000 when run. Parker said they found $145,000 in gold in 2 days. This week, about $460,000 in gold was extracted, more than double the same amount last year. They are happy with the results and expect financial and gold success. Fred Lewis and Brandon Clayton share resources to improve output in another scene. They believe they can increase output and profits by working together. Fred and Brandon's plant feeding loader had a tire blowout, causing downtime that could exceed their quota. The tire was fixed, and they continued working quickly. Mitch decides to clean up after 2 days and is pleased to see gold in the riffles. Fred and Brandon's partnership will be tested before their first gold weigh with Sandra and Andrew from New York City. The future season should benefit from their 19 ounces of gold every game while running less yards. Fred's largest gold grab and the chance to raise production by 50% have thrilled Tony's Beats and his employees. Tony's preparations were derailed by frozen ground and a big frost block blocking the conveyor belt, resulting in costly downtime and lost gold. Tony is unfazed and working hard with the 80 pup to get his season back on track and reach his gold goals. Tony and his staff had completed sweeping and scrubbing their mats and run. Tony strictly forbids his staff from walking on the mats. The Beats found $328,000 in gold despite downtime and lost gold, bringing their season total to over $2.3 million. Parker Schnabel is having problems bringing in 2,000 ounces of gold and worries he won't have enough to send his crew home. He must find the high-grade pay layer before winter, but he is 800 ounces short. Rick is surprised when Troy Taylor offers to sell the land to him for 150 ounces of gold. Rick should seriously consider the offer because he has spent a fortune on machinery and is struggling to make a profit. Rick recruits veteran ironworker Kyle Lawson to manage both wash facilities. Kyle manages the plant despite his fear. They are holding their breath hoping this clever strategy would work. They also made some remarkable gold discoveries on Gold Rush. Over $500,000 worth of gold, 219.8 ounces from Monster Red and 95 ounces from Rocky, were discovered by Tony Beats. As a result of Raleigh Valley's largest gold weigh ever, Parker Schnabel makes a significant financial commitment towards the purchase of more acreage. Mining tycoon Tony Beats is also in Kano attempting to break into uncharted territory. Test holes he digs show possible gold deposits. In general, these gold miners are engaged in some really promising work, and they have some very lofty objectives. Tony Beats and his staff are using a ball with a strainer to separate gold from soil in a new mining operation. They are pleased with the lengthy pump they utilize to speed up the procedure when they find fine gold. Tony is encouraged by this discovery. and has discussed growing the firm with his family. Parker Schnabel is pleased with his gold weight, which beat last season's record. Parker will keep mining despite the season's challenges and make the best of it. Parker Schnabel and his colleagues seek to maximize their resources in Alaska to find better soil. Parker calls in his loyal right-hand man, Mitch Blaschke, to help clear overburden and keep the process running smoothly as they rush to reach 700 ounces of gold. Parker moves as much as feasible with Mitch's help despite machine repairs and a labor shortage. As they overcome challenges, the crew's collaboration and determination shine through. Parker Schnabel and Tony Beets want gold. Parker's crew must collect 700 more ounces to move Big Red to Mud Mountain. After upgrading his gear, Tony is more driven than ever to have his best season. Tony struggles with equipment, while Parker relies on their road expansion to bring him there. Despite the obstacles, they remain driven and confident in their capacity to succeed and profit. He'll make up his gold ounce deficit and protect his off-season investment. Tony is under pressure to supply gold after the buyer for his fleet of barges dropped out at the last minute. This season was the Beets family's most successful for gold production, despite the loss. Tony still hopes to reach 9,000 pounds next year. He also investigates pioneer mining waste. There may be some gold left, and since gold and petrol costs are low, now is an excellent time to look. Tony invites the crew together to learn about the hill and mine's history. After finding a wooden sluice box, they realize that only half of the gold was collected this way. Tony wants to dig into the tailings and find themselves. A sample is tested with a trommel to confirm gold presence. It's free money, so they'll transfer it to New Zealand for processing. Later, he and his loved ones head to Paradise Hill to find out if the old-timers' tailings turned up any riches. Tony needs 177 ounces every week to reach his 3,000-ounce season target. Mega-cut pay dirt processed through Mike's trommel produced 4.22 ounces of gold, worth $7,400. They decide to keep operating the tailings facility after Tony's intuition proved correct. The Premier Wash facility is a high-stakes gamble for Parker Schnabel and his crew because he needs the money to acquire land in Alaska. They had trouble at first due to water leaking, but managed to get the plant stabilized. Before the season is out, they want to have found enough money to stock up on weapons and invest in new territory. When Parker Schnabel's house is threatened by flames, he must deal with a dire situation. He leaves the mining operation to return home and assist his evacuating wife. Now Brennan Rule and Colt Foreman must manage day-to-day business. However, conflicts emerge as Brennan strives to maintain order and discovers poor work from the team. Brennan and Parker make up following a fierce dispute. Despite the difficulties, Parker is resolved to finish the season strong and earn enough money to purchase further mining property. With a final tally of 7,504.9 ounces of gold, the team sets new benchmarks and surpasses their best season ever. Be sure to subscribe for more thrilling updates of treasure hunting. As we near the end of the season, Tony Beets has his own set of problems to solve. He has yet to reach his ideal weight and is out of fertile ground in the mega cut after 400 ounces. When Tony punches a hole in the wall, water rushes in and floods the final nook of the mega cut. Tony hopes to establish a new market known as the upper cut in order to save the rest of the season. However, the ground becomes a soupy mess after heavy rain, which presents challenges for Tony and his crew. Tony is unfazed by the obstacles in his way and insists on continuing his search for rich gold deposits. Another setback for the crew was the destruction of their rock truck. Despite this, they are able to get the problem resolved and go back to work in short order. Tony's time to earn 3,000 ounces of gold this season is quickly running out as winter approaches. After the last load of dirt has been processed by the plant, everyone congregates for the season's final gold weigh-in. They missed their target by a hair, but nevertheless managed to produce 3,030.26 ounces, worth almost $5.6 million. Tony has his sights set on next season, and he's positive that with the right brakes and a water permit, they can increase their output.
All right, 20, 40, 60, 70, 110, 120.
And during this exhilarating episode, Parker and his devoted group will undertake an expedition to the gold rush. They will traverse 90 acres of rugged terrain in severe weather conditions in an attempt to discover gold for Tony Beets' claim. Indeed, it was worthwhile. Eventually, they will discover gold valued at $240,000. Consequently, what strategies did they employ to overcome their obstacles? How did they manage to function amidst severe weather conditions? As we investigate alongside Parker, he discovers gold valued at $240,000 on Tony Beat's claim. How it all began. In a brief period of time, Parker Schnabel and his team have never before mined more ground than they do now, following the completion of a deal with Tony Beats. Prior to the conclusion of the season, he must complete the task, and spring is considered the ideal time to set things up. They have resolved to exert maximum effort in the pursuit of completing it prior to the autumn in the hopes of attaining a favorable result. Having organized his enterprise to strip the 45 acres of land, he anticipates gold to be extracted within a week. Although the team harbors skepticism regarding their capacity to complete the project within the allotted timeframe, they maintain an optimistic outlook. Nona Lovelace affirms that this year's sprint is a complete sprint, as the anticipated completion date is in the spring. Nona removes frozen gravel with the assistance of a 73-ton D10 dozer. As she does so, she asserts that all hands must be on deck to ensure there is no breakdown. They believed they had drafted an excellent plan, but Tony filed an additional claim and a half at the 11th hour, necessitating the drafting of a more effective strategy in order to complete the project. Thus, the understanding that there is significantly more work to be completed and it must be accomplished very quickly. A member of the team, Tatiana Costa, exclaims that the quantity of snowfall they encountered was indescribable, as each surface was blanketed in dense snow that demanded additional exertion to clear. She then transports the frozen overburden to the waste pile in order to make room for additional labor. Additionally, she elucidates that the presence of snow in the ground will pose a significant obstacle, necessitating the relocation of the snow. However, the quantity of snow hinders their progress in removing the snow that Nona removed, which has taken considerably longer than anticipated. The team encountered difficulties as a result of the unanticipated additions and the prior heavy snowfall, but they refuse to allow the difficulty to deter them or burden them down. Parker proceeds to lead from the front in his 73-ton D10 dozer, asserting that the sole method to efficiently accomplish a substantial amount of work or oversee numerous projects is to commence operations while adhering to the pre-existing plan that was established on the ground. He attributes his resilience and optimistic approach to managing numerous projects to his late grandfather, who oversaw a multitude of logging camps in Alaska during the 1940s and 1950s without internet access or satellite phones. He describes how he was able to handle the entire situation despite these technological advancements. Due to the strong rapport that existed between him and his grandfather, as a result of their close relationship, he was able to study in the same manner in which his grandfather completed his assignments. Parker has 45 acres of ground to mine at the aerodrome. With the addition of Tony's 45 acres, he now has 90 acres to mine, which increased the difficulty for him and his team by 50% compared to the amount he mined the year prior. Should he and his team manage to endure everything, they would surpass the previous season's record of $15 million in total. A colleague, Tyson Lee, excavates ditches stripped near the Indian River and installs BMS in the 480 excavators in order to address the recording snowfall challenges, which are necessary for tracking any issues that could potentially halt the project. Tyson, notwithstanding his reservations, safeguards the cut against flooding to ensure operational availability. Failure to do so would result in a setback and a waste of time. At that juncture, any task that exceeds the anticipated time frame would be deemed unacceptable. He states that this year there was a great deal of snowfall, which resulted in a great deal of snowmelt entering their cut. As a consequence, they were compelled to construct a trench and reinforce the riverbank in order to prevent the Indian River from flooding and re-entering them. Parker continued by stating that he has witnessed individuals lose entire cuts as a result of inadequate drainage, which was a complete setback for them. As a result, they are striving to prevent this from occurring with this endeavor. The first load of pay was dispatched to Big Red so that he could begin mining without delay. It was also prepared to transport mud and wash rocks. Mitch is confronted with the task of activating the machinery and managing the substantial soil, as the last time Big Red was utilized was when they conducted a mining operation. They endeavor to ensure that the plants operate without any issues while under duress. In order for Parker to achieve success on the aerodrome, Big Red must function continuously throughout the longest season ever. When the first payment is made to Big Red, it generates enthusiasm amongst the other members, signifying that substantial labor is about to commence. Mitch's contribution is to energize the plants. He even predicted that it would be difficult to dispose of the quantity of soil that has accumulated this year, let alone in certain days. He added that the only way to accomplish that is if everyone does their part correctly, and he is still uncertain as to whether or not their objective will be attainable despite doing everything correctly, given the limited time they had to complete it. The sling is under tremendous duress, and these plants must operate without a hitch. Preparation is undertaken in order to obtain the soil and locate the gold. Following 4 days of operations proceeding as scheduled and equipment functioning flawlessly, the team avidly awaits the verdict of the novel Tony Beats claim, not anticipating any adverse consequences. Following the completion of 4 days of machine operation, the team becomes eagerly anticipating the outcome of the new Tony Beats claim, cognizant of the effort they have invested. As a consequence, the total weight of the gold realized was 137.8, which is approximately $240,000. The moment brought delight to Parker as well as his fellow teammates. Everyone was ecstatic and jubilant regarding the project's success, and the new records were secured and added to their resumes. The group expresses gratitude to Tony Beats and recognizes the possibility of a hectic season. They ponder the difficulties, the readiness of the apparatus, and the promising beginning to the season. Parker concluded by expressing gratitude to the entire team for returning for a second season, for their contributions to the success of the project, for the team's inspection of the used equipment, and for putting in so much effort to ensure the project's success. Parker Schnabel provokes. Gold Rush elevated the profile of the youthful and prosperous gold miner Parker Schnabel to prominence. He was born in Haines, Alaska, on July 22, 1994, into a family with a significant heritage in the gold mining industry. Parker became a member of Gold Rush during its second season at the tender age of 17. Despite his youth, he exhibited remarkable prowess in the field of gold extraction and a diligent work ethic. Throughout the course of the seasons, audiences were privy to Parker's arduous ascent to prominence as a successful miner in the Yukon's Klondike region. Parker achieved the distinction of becoming the youngest mining foreman in the history of the Klondike during his time on the program. Since assuming control of the Big Nugget mine from his patriarch, John Schnabel, his mining operations have grown. Parker has confronted a multitude of obstacles, encompassing apparatus failures, severe weather circumstances, and the demands of managing a prosperous mining enterprise. Nevertheless, these trials have fortified him, and he now aspires to surpass his previous accomplishments by a significant margin. Parker Schnabel, known as the dirt nerd who keeps finding gold, has appeared on the television series Gold Rush since its inception in 2010. Even though he appeared in only a handful of episodes during the first season, he was well received. Although he is a novice miner, his determination to discover gold is unwavering. Fans still know very little about his personal life, despite the fact that he began appearing on the program when he was young and is notorious for his fiery temper and rough exterior. When Parker Schnabel was young, the Gold Rush had just begun. The initial emphasis of the program was on his grandfather, John, the proprietor of the Big Nugget mine in Alaska. In Season 2, however, John transferred control of the business to Parker. Parker has been an integral part of the program ever since. Parker Schnabel debuted on the television series Gold Rush in 2010. Even though he appeared in only a handful of episodes during the first season, he was well received. Although he is a novice miner, his determination to discover gold is unwavering. Fans still know very little about his personal life, despite the fact that he began appearing on the program when he was young and is notorious for his fiery temper and rough exterior. Surprising occurrences abound on the program, including encounters with wild animals and being shot at. As the series Gold Rush progresses, Parker Schnabel will undoubtedly find himself in increasingly dramatic circumstances, and the future is uncertain. Those who observe Gold Rush are aware of Parker Schnabel's achievements in the mines. His accomplishment has generated a substantial amount of wealth, particularly for an individual in their 20s. Although the precise amount is unknown, The prevailing consensus among individuals is that his net worth in 2020 was approximately $10 million. Parker Schnabel reinvests all of the profits into his mining enterprise, as opposed to keeping them all. He invests the funds in upgraded mining apparatus and processes. He stated in an interview that he invests his money in his mining work rather than frivolous items such as boats or expensive vehicles. Despite earning millions of dollars annually, he does not retain the entire amount for personal use. He employs a team, and while their precise remuneration remains undisclosed, it is probable that they amass a considerable fortune when they unearth substantial quantities of gold over the course of a season. Parker's grandfather, John Schnabel, died in 2016 at the age of 96. He passed away while sound asleep. Parker expressed gratitude on Twitter for the support of his followers following his passing, writing, "John led an extraordinary life and was truly unique. I am relieved that the world was able to witness an extraordinary man." From 1984 until 2014, John had been engaged in active mining prior to his demise. Because John Schnabel enjoyed a prosperous career, his family did not encounter many financial obstacles. Prior to Parker's 1994 birth, funds had been allocated for his collegiate expenses. This meant he could attend virtually any university without financial constraints. Nevertheless, upon John's bequest of the family business to Parker, that college fund was put to use by Parker for mining rather than education. Parker abandoned his studies in favor of excavating, with the expectation of uncovering not only a hidden treasure but also an entire way of living. A substantial quantity of gold was discovered by Parker Schnabel and his team in the second season of Gold Rush. They obtained 34 ounces worth a total of $55,000. Parker was profoundly affected by this discovery, which motivated him to continue with the program and mining thereafter. Parker Schnabel estimated that the largest fragment of gold he had ever discovered weighed no more than a quarter ounce and was valued at between $400 and $500. He elaborated that it is uncommon to discover gems of that size and that the gold industry has undergone significant transformations since his grandfather began working in it in the 1980s. His grandfather used to discover larger gemstones in Haines, weighing between 3 and 4 ounces. Even though the nuggets are now smaller, Schnabel continues to discover an abundance of them during his mining excursions. As a result of Parker Schnabel's immense popularity during the gold rush, his producers decided to experiment with him in other areas. They devised the concept for a program in which James Level, the cinematographer, Parker, Rick Ness, Carla Ann, and themselves embark on an expedition along the Klondike Trail. As a result, the limited series Gold Rush Parker's Trail was produced. Parker Schnabel expects to discover 80,000 ounces of gold on his new property in Season 14, which is valued at a potential $160 million. However, acquiring that much treasure is difficult. The area, Dominion Creek, has been heavily mined in the past. Everyone has always been in a tremendous hurry to extract gold from the ground, says Schnabel. In a region characterized by rapid appreciation in cost, it indicates that mining is difficult and can be extremely expensive. Parker Schnabel is determined to improve this time around. A depth of approximately 40 feet must be dug by him and his crew in order to discover the gold. But it is expensive. Thousands of dollars must be added to the $15 million that he has already invested in the property. Further, this serves as the initial stage. This season, Parker is confronted with a critical choice that has the potential to alter the course of his mining career. Controversy surrounds whether he will venture into a new region rich in gold or opt for a more secure course of action. The outcome of Schnabel's decision is met with a mixture of anticipation and unpredictability among his admirers. Parker Schnabel aims to surpass his previous record of discovering 5,300 ounces of gold with a value of $9 million. He is now setting an even more ambitious goal, obtaining 6,000 ounces from the Indian River. Confronting the difficulties of the Klondike, he is resolute and perseverant. A great deal of determination is anticipated from him throughout this thrilling voyage. Audiences have witnessed Parker's leadership, determination, and capacity to make difficult decisions under duress throughout the course of the series. His reputation stems from the fact that he challenges himself and his crew to accomplish lofty objectives. Parker Schnabel, notwithstanding the fluctuations, has emerged as one of the most accomplished and widely recognized individuals in the film Gold Rush. Gold Rush featured a diverse workforce of crew members who were integral to Parker Schnabel's mining operations. Every member made a contribution that aligned with the initial plan for the project's success. What are your reflections on this particular occurrence of Parker's conquest? Additionally, for more thrilling adventures, please subscribe to our channel and like this video. Continue to be tuned for more. Parker makes $364,000 in gold after getting rookie operator to move Slucifer. Parker, who had a lot of knowledge, kept showing off his accomplishments all these years. Not long ago, he did something even more amazing. He made $364,000 in gold by getting a new operator to move the Slucifer. The project already owed a huge $15 million, and Parker didn't know how to get out of this mess. There were daily costs and pressing repairs that needed to be done. There was some hope in the idea of getting a $160 million payday in the Dominion, but there were many unknowns along the way. It became clear when he admitted that the whole thing was making him feel pretty worried. He felt a little uneasy for the first time in a few years. He wasn't alone, though, which was good. His team would be there for him no matter what. To save the working bodies, Tyson had to take on everything. He got permission to use the mine from Ken Tatlow and Stuart Schmidt, and then began the impossible job of making the experience great again. No one expected the first cut to be so bad, and it took a lot longer than anyone thought it would. As soon as Parker realized how important it was, the pressure rose. He thought Tyson would be able to get up soon. The determination of Parker stayed strong, even though the work to prepare the new spot was hard. He went on to say that while he was getting El Dardo ready, he thought he had a lot of time. But when he was getting the next plant pad ready, he realized he didn't. As Parker dealt with the problems at El Dorado, everyone was left wondering if his unwavering determination would help him get through the tough times and find the gold stores that could make his mining project a success. Parker and Tyson were both involved in the El Dorado. Moving the wash plant at the El Dorado cut was a huge task that turned some important events in Tyson's life. They had everything they needed except time, because the process had to be done by a certain date. The due date for this job was Sunday, and if it was completed successfully, it would be able to stay alive. The plot jumbled up money problems, practical issues, and the almost constant search for the jackpot at Dominion into a mess of problems that needed to be carefully handled. The financial situation added another level of difficulty to the story. The operation, which was already a financial puzzle, was done with the worry of possible bills and the costs of running the business. As I watch them, I can't help but wonder, will this smart move help them find the gold mines they were looking for? Or will it be a big mistake on the crazy road of gold mining? At some point in this nail-biting story, you couldn't help but wonder, would Parker Schnabel's huge risk pay off? Or would his growing financial responsibilities and practical problems make it impossible for him to reach his goal of finding a gold mine? Dominion is a world where gold rules and fortunes can change in an instant. Parker Schnabel found himself in a very bad spot. Now is the time for the dream of the unreachable gold to change. Along with it came hard times financially, so the business could stay open. The heat had almost made this area its home. It makes me wonder what it's like to be ruled over. The answer is as easy as the question, but it beautifully describes the harsh conditions these miners have to work in every day. The word Domian means sovereign, and the people who were looking for treasure buried in its land often tell it what its rules are. Another look at the area points to the harshness that is hidden by the light. Parker and his team's determination should definitely be praised. Recently, the weather has gone up, which has raised the bar for what is acceptable. This seemingly normal talk showed how hard these people's lives were. They had to work from dawn until dusk in the hot sun. The next step was to sluice there, but that wasn't official yet. As the thought of starting the sluicing process set in, there was a sense of excitement in the air. After some time, they said that sluicing wouldn't happen because they needed to get better at it first before moving the business. The team was eager to start sluicing, but first, they had to make some strategic choices. There was a lot of tension in the gold mining business because Tico, who was making efforts to make things run more smoothly, set a hard goal. As the order echoed through the mining site, the story unfolded quickly. Tico wanted the plant to begin buzzing before morning. The attention then turned to Tyson, whose scary job it was to move Slucifer around on a pole that wasn't stable. Tyson had to make up Slucifer out of a leaning stick he had lying around. The language used made it clear that the business was sloppy and rushed. even if no one knew how to make learning staff. Putting pressure on Tyson became an important part of the story, a major source of tension that gave the story more depth. To move the sluicer, you had to have a steady hand and a lot of skill that you learned over time. Tyson had to deal with a lack of experienced hands while working on a tough job. Alec and Liam helped out the last time, and it looked like they were going to drag Lucifer while Evan Kurtz, who was just an operator and didn't know how to move a wash plant, moved Lucifer. The moving of the wash plant was complicated by the fact that parts had to be slung up to the sluicer and then pulled down to the new pad by the 750. The main reason it was hard to do was because changing wash plants was hard to do when there were already few hands available. As Tyson and Evan took on the job of moving the pieces of sluicer to its new location, the story took an interesting turn. It wasn't just a jump that was being planned, it was a symbolic risk in the dangerous world of gold mining. Once sluicer was taken apart piece by piece, sharing could be seen as both a risky move and a game of chance. People who watched this story grow as a dynamic journey had to think about what would happen with the operation and the luck that was going on at the same time. Everything that was done in the world of gold mining had the power to change the whole course of the season, even sluicer's seemingly random jump. The 45-ton wash plant, Sluicer, that held the promise of $364,000 in gold hung over their heads. Tyson and his team had to carefully move Sluicer so that the process would go as planned. To get to its new wash plant pad, Sluicer had to go up a steep ramp, which was hard to do because of the environment. Tyson used the 750 excavator, which was the best one on site at the time, to help carry the heavy Lucifer up the hill because he knew it was a period piece. As the story goes on, there is an amazing scene of bravery as they try to get around their opponent. But behind it all is the dangerous operation. The shot was tense because of the way the land was angled and how rude the Washington plant was. The wash plant started to slowly but surely rise because Tyson knew how to use everything he had at the time in a strategic way. From the first few steps toward the wash plant, you could feel the stress in the story, and Tyson's main point made the already difficult task even harder. He said that his bucket would be used as a small wrench. He talked about how you need to be able to adapt and be creative when you run into problems you didn't expect. At this point, everyone is almost in pain from the fight and can feel the strain of the hard mental and physical work that needs to be done to get the sluicer where it needs to be. Tyson's smart use of the bucket as a makeshift crowbar showed how important it was to be able to think quickly and change to survive in the unpredictable world of gold mining. So the operation as a whole relied on the team, and how well they did in this last stage was crucial to achieving the overall goal of a successful season in the Dominion. If this last step is completed successfully, not only will the difficult task be over, but Parker Schnabel will also have the chance to reach his big season goal. The team's ability to deal with the difficulty of this important configuration determined whether the whole operation succeeded or failed. As soon as the work was done, the wash plant set firmly on the pad, giving everyone a sense of readiness and accomplishment. The construction of the conveyor and the hopper feeder was a big deal in and of itself. It was a clear sign that gold processing was about to start. After following this high-stakes operation through all of its changes and surprises, I couldn't help but feel satisfied. There was a promise of gold worth $364,000 off in the distance. The problems were solved, and now everyone was waiting for the next part of Parker Schnabel's story. This move could change everything for Parker. It could get him a big payday and help him beat the challenges of gold digging in Dominion. After finding $364,000 in gold, he was making smart decisions, like letting a new operator move the sluicer, which was the most important job. Using Slucifer and Gold Rush has had a big effect on the show and the people who watch it. Slucifer's demonstration of cutting-edge technology shows how the gold mining business has changed over time. The time was running out, and every second counted as they looked for the hard-to-find gold that would decide whether the mission succeeded or failed. Parker said he liked how the move was organized. After the rig move, the story went on to look at the day after. Everyone was so eager to hear the result that they stood on edge to listen. They knew that today's machine was the only one that could tell them how productive the whole season had been. The news of the golden sample led to both hope and disappointment. We called that sluicing. Parker was looking for a 5,000-ounce endonym to keep his business from going through a lot of trouble. He needed 300 ounces of water a week to get it. For the team, this was the last payment thanks to Parker's Vice, a 5,000-ounce season worth $364,000. After that, The count by the number of ounces showed that there was, in fact, a pileup that was different from the group's weekly goal, but still impressive.
All right, 20, 40, 60, 70, 110, 120.
Eventually, they will discover gold valued at $240,000. Consequently, what strategies did they employ to overcome their obstacles? How did they manage to function amidst severe weather conditions? As we investigate alongside Parker, he discovers gold valued at $240,000 on Tony Beat's claim. How it all began. In a brief period of time, Parker Schnabel and his team have never before mined more ground than they do now, following the completion of a deal with Tony Beats. Prior to the conclusion of the season, he must complete the task, and spring is considered the ideal time to set things up. They have resolved to exert maximum effort in the pursuit of completing it prior to the autumn, in the hopes of attaining a favorable result. Although the team harbors skepticism regarding their capacity to complete the project within the allotted timeframe, they maintain an optimistic outlook. Nona Lovelace affirms that this year's sprint is a complete sprint, as the anticipated completion date is in the spring. A member of the team, Tatiana Costa, exclaims that the quantity of snowfall they encountered was indescribable, as each surface was blanketed in dense snow that demanded additional exertion to clear. She then transports the frozen overburden to the waste pile in order to make room for additional labor. Following 4 days of operations proceeding as scheduled and equipment functioning flawlessly, the team avidly awaits the verdict of the novel Tony Beats claim, not anticipating any adverse consequences. Following the completion of 4 days of machine operation, the team becomes eagerly anticipating the outcome of the new Tony Beats claim, cognizant of the effort they have invested. As a consequence, the total weight of the gold realized was 137.8, which is approximately $240,000. The group expresses gratitude to Tony Beats and recognizes the possibility of a hectic season. They ponder the difficulties, the readiness of the apparatus, and the promising beginning to the season. Parker concluded by expressing gratitude to the entire team for returning for a second season, for their contributions to the success of the project, for the team's inspection of the used equipment, and for putting in so much effort to ensure the project's success. Gold Rush elevated the profile of the youthful and prosperous gold miner Parker Schnabel to prominence. He was born in Haines, Alaska, on July 22, 1994, into a family with a significant heritage in the gold mining industry. Parker became a member of Gold Rush during its second season at the tender age of 17. Despite his youth, he exhibited remarkable prowess in the field of gold extraction and a diligent work ethic. Parker achieved the distinction of becoming the youngest mining foreman in the history of the Klondike during his time on the program. Since assuming control of the Big Nugget mine from his patriarch, John Schnabel, his mining operations have grown. Parker has confronted a multitude of obstacles, encompassing apparatus failures, severe weather circumstances, and the demands of managing a prosperous mining enterprise. Despite earning millions of dollars annually, he does not retain the entire amount for personal use. He employs a team, and while their precise remuneration remains undisclosed, it is probable that they amass a considerable fortune when they unearth substantial quantities of gold over the course of a season. Parker abandoned his studies in favor of excavating, with the expectation of uncovering not only a hidden treasure but also an entire way of living. A substantial quantity of gold was discovered by Parker Schnabel and his team in the second season of Gold Rush. They obtained 34 ounces worth a total of $55,000. Parker was profoundly affected by this discovery, which motivated him to continue with the program and mining thereafter. Parker Schnabel estimated that the largest fragment of gold he had ever discovered weighed no more than a quarter ounce and was valued at between $400 and $500. He elaborated that it is uncommon to discover gems of that size and that the gold industry has undergone significant transformations since his grandfather began working in it in the 1980s. Parker Schnabel is determined to improve this time around. A depth of approximately 40 feet must be dug by him and his crew in order to discover the gold. But it is expensive. Thousands of dollars must be added to the $15 million that he has already invested in the property. Further, this serves as the initial stage. This season, Parker is confronted with a critical choice that has the potential to alter the course of his mining career. Parker Schnabel aims to surpass his previous record of discovering 5,300 ounces of gold with a value of $9 million. He is now setting an even more ambitious goal, obtaining 6,000 ounces from the Indian River. Confronting the difficulties of the Klondike, he is resolute and perseverant. A great deal of determination is anticipated from him throughout this thrilling voyage. Audiences have witnessed Parker's leadership, determination, and capacity to make difficult decisions under duress throughout the course of the series. His reputation stems from the fact that he challenges himself and his crew to accomplish lofty objectives. Parker Schnabel, notwithstanding the fluctuations, has emerged as one of the most accomplished and widely recognized individuals in the film Gold Rush. Gold Rush featured a diverse workforce of crew members who were integral to Parker Schnabel's mining operations. Every member made a contribution that aligned with the initial plan for the project's success. What are your reflections on this particular occurrence of Parker's conquest? Additionally, for more thrilling adventures, please subscribe to our channel and like this video. Continue to be tuned for more.